First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend's friend out after what he did with my food? My female 28, boyfriend's male 30, childhood friend, male 30s, recently moved in with us after his place was ruined by fire. One thing I learned about him is that he loves being in the kitchen and cooking food. He's taken over the kitchen, not letting me cook my own meals. Since I'm allergic to certain ingredients, before eating his food I ask him if he put extra ingredients to make sure I don't eat food I'm allergic to. He'd lie and say no. So far, he's done it twice, resulting in my skin getting affected. I started cooking my own meals since he won't stop lying about putting certain ingredients in his food and causing me to find out the hard way. He clearly doesn't take it seriously and probably trying to prove my allergy doesn't exist. In the evening, I went to take a shower after I was done preparing my dinner and leaving it in the oven. My boyfriend's friend was in the kitchen the entire time, but was sitting at the table playing with his phone. After I got out of the shower, I went to check on my dinner, and almost immediately after looking at and smelling it, I noticed something was wrong. I asked if he's done anything to it. He shook his head, saying he didn't do much. After tasting it, he said he just added X ingredients since the meal lacked something. My dinner was ruined since I couldn't eat after he added ingredients I was allergic to. I snapped and yelled at him, telling him he had no business touching my food, and asked him what exactly his problem was because it looked like he was trying to prove a point of some sort. My boyfriend joined the argument. His friend's face turned red, claiming I was raising my voice for no reason. I told him to leave after arguing back and forth. My boyfriend gave him a ride to a mutual friend's place. That's how the other friends knew. And the next day, they lashed out at me, calling me toxic, mean, heartless, controlling, and that I overreacted, and should try to drive a wedge between childhood friends and kick him out while he's struggling. They berated me and demanded I apologize publicly, but I refused. To clarify two things. One, he said he thought the dinner was for all of us since he didn't cook. Suddenly no longer wanted to cook after I started making my own meals. And two, throughout the entire argument, he said he didn't know I was allergic to that ingredient that he put in my dinner. But I'm sure I've already mentioned all the things that I don't eat in my meals. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Of course he told the other friends a highly biased version of events. The reality is that he knowingly and intentionally put allergens in your food. This person could not be trusted, period. Food tampering is also a felony. He's lucky you're not pressing charges. Not a-hole. Maybe she should. Not a-hole. And then she can be an a-hole to everyone because how could you? And it was just an accident. And he didn't know you were allergic. And you're so sensitive. And are you even allergic? Oh, wait. And it was just a prank, bro. Honestly, depending on how severe her allergic reaction can be to that ingredient, she freaking should. Real life has real consequences. Even after saying depending on how severe, I'm like, screw it, dude. Not depending. Just do it. Not a-hole. He was purposefully poisoning you after you let him stay in your home. He knows you're allergic and sneaks it in your food anyway. In a lot of states, that is considered assault and could be prosecuted. Cut him off. Anyone standing up for him deserves to be cut off too. Yep, I agree 100%. A normal person doesn't contaminate someone else's food with ingredients they know the person is allergic to. He should definitely apologize. Not a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for insulting my sister-in-law after years of holding my tongue? My sister-in-law is low class. I really have no better way of putting it. She has a 10th grade education, thinks she's smarter than everyone else, and brags to make herself seem like more than she is. At her core, she's white trash, plain and simple. My brother's the only reason she's not living in a trailer right now. She will bluntly talk about her sex life, about things she's done, and stuff that nobody really wants to hear. She'll also openly insult me, and I'm told by my parents to just accept it and not make waves with my brother. For 8 years, I've tolerated her on the basis that she makes my brother happy. This weekend, we were all together and she began talking about how my brother is a blanket hog. My fiancé laughed and admitted that she was the blanket hog when we shared a bed, and I never woke her up to get them back. Sister-in-law responded that she would wake my brother out of a sound sleep to get the blankets back, and that once he was awake, he'd be looking for something else. She then stated that I knew better than to wake my fiancé up, because I obviously didn't have my A game at the time. These feral comments are typical of the type of things she typically says. I replied, I can make do with a sheet and light blanket. I don't need to disturb her sleep when she gets up so early. She laughed. I'm just saying. Don't wake us up if you don't have the game to back it up. My fiancé was a virgin when we got together. This is not well known, as it's really nobody's business but hers. At this point, I'd had a few drinks and I was feeling a bit prickish. I smiled and replied, I can confidently say I am the best that my fiancé has ever had in her life. Sister-in-law rolled her eyes, looked at my fiancé and asked, Really? I mean, I know you have to stroke his ego, but really? My fiancé laughed. Well, actually, he's right. He is definitely the best I've ever had, and that's not an exaggeration. Sister-in-law shook her head. In your whole life? Be honest, woman to woman, who's the best? My fiancé admitted, he's my first, best and only. Sister-in-law laughed. Wow, seriously? You gotta put some miles on those tires before deciding on the best. I interjected, well, when you buy a new model right off the floor as opposed to a used-up beater, you don't have to worry about who's been inside of it before you. Note, I do not think of women like this. I love and value my fiancé no matter what. And I drunkenly attempted to flip her own metaphor back on my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law became very quiet, and they left shortly after. My brother told me that my sister-in-law is very upset with me and says I called her a whore. I told him that I'd been holding my tongue for a decade for his benefit, and I was done putting up with her. I regret saying it, mainly because of the sexist implication and being drunk, but I stand by shutting down that line of conversation. Am I the a-hole? I regret saying it. No, you don't. If you did, you'd be apologizing to your brother and to your sister-in-law for that comment. Regardless if that is how you think of your sister-in-law and her comments, why the hell would you hang out with her? It's like you revel in the conflict and drama it brings. She sucks, but you're no angel. Think of some other way of resolving conflict than making sexist, disgusting comments like that. Everyone sucks here. Agree, everyone sucks here. OP, if you have an issue with sister-in-law, say something to her face in a one-on-one discussion, rather than just think she is trash for years and then shame her in a group setting. The fact that you said, note, I don't think of all women like this, shows that you already know this was a bad thing to say. You really could have said nothing at all, or told her you don't like her implying things about her sex life because it's none of her business and rude. Definitely, everyone sucks here. Everyone sucks here. By all accounts, your sister-in-law is trash, but what you said is awful. Apologize to your fiancé, as frankly I feel she deserves it. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her body hair is ruining her dates? My sister 22 female and I 26 female both have PCOS. As a result, we have very thick, dark body hair and facial hair that can honestly rival some men's. I personally choose to shave regularly because I can't stand how it looks and feels. My sister used to shave, but about a year ago decided she wanted to stop. Of course I support her 100% and think she's beautiful. What she does with her body is her business. However, there is an issue. My sister uses old pictures of herself back when she was shaving and dating apps. This has led to a lot of problems in her romantic life. She often complains she never gets a second date, and sometimes people even leave mid-date. I think this is kind of her fault because she's being disingenuous about her appearance, which is a horrible thing to do. I have always bit my tongue and just supported her about this topic until recently. The other day, she was venting again about another failed date. She asked me why this keeps happening to her. I told her she should consider updating her profile pictures. She got defensive and asked why she would need to do that. I told her that it would probably help so people know what she looks like since she looks a lot different than when they were taken. She started getting extremely angry and said that a little body hair doesn't make that much of a difference, and the right person won't mind a little hair. Again, our body and facial hair is very thick and dark, and, in my opinion, definitely makes a difference. When I don't shave, I get a full mustache and beard, and my sister's the same. The people she's going on dates with aren't expecting her to show up with a full mustache and beard because her pictures show her clean-shaven. I told her that she's beautiful, but she's giving people false expectations, which is why she's having bad luck dating. She should just be honest from the start and the right one will come along. But she was infuriated and said I was being unsupportive and misogynistic. She has refused to talk to me since, and my family is now calling me an a-hole too because they think I was shaming her. My sister even posted in social media that body hair is beautiful. The stigma attached to it is misogynistic. It sucks when your own family won't support you. Did I go wrong somewhere here? I love my sister and don't think body and facial hair is a bad thing at all. But I don't think it's right to basically catfish people and then blame them for not being interested and treating them like they're horrible people when you misled them. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. She's lied to those who look at her profile. And if body hair is natural and she's okay with it, why won't she update her picture? She's okay with her hair, proud of it. So why? Because she knows she won't get as many first dates if she did update it, is what I think. But it would solve the issue of people leaving in the middle of the date because they were lied to. Right. Her statement of the right person wouldn't mind a bit of body hair contradicts the fact she has an old pre-hair profile picture. Because she's not attracting the right person. She's attracting the wrong ones and going on dates with the wrong ones. She has to decide whether she wants lots of first dates or if she wants to really put herself out there with a new picture and try to find someone who will actually connect with her. Not the a-hole OP. You were honest but gentle about the whole thing. Exactly. If it doesn't matter, then a recent picture shouldn't matter either. Not the a-hole. I have PCOS. The honest answer is, if you choose to embrace the body hair issue, embrace it. But if she is claiming to embrace it, then not backing it up with being proud about it, then that's a huge issue. I also have PCOS and insulin resistance. I have a beard that would rival most men's, but I shave every day. I also have a pretty good happy trail as well. Not the a-hole. Wow, your sister loves being the victim, doesn't she? No offense. If I see a guy clean-shaved, then I meet him in person with a beard, I'd straight up call him what he is. Catfisher. Body hair or not, if it's something she knows will make people swipe left, she should put it up there. Doesn't matter if she has extra weight, shorter hair, or a facial scar. Changing pictures, will make people swipe left and meeting with them regardless is catfishing. And even if right guys show up, he would leave after being deceived. She loves complaining about them not staying when she's the one who catfished and wasted their time, then blamed you when she asked for your opinion and got defensive. The fact that she also made a post doesn't help either. She loves being the victim, and it's on her, not you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not going along with my girlfriend's lie in her family's Zoom call? I, 22 male, was invited to my girlfriend's 21 female extended family's Zoom call where everyone eats dinner together and then plays games. As we were eating, they were mostly talking amongst themselves, and then one of her aunts said to me, "I've heard a lot of good things about you. I'm told that you're an engineer." So is my husband. He asked me what field of engineering I was in, as he is an electrical engineer at a major firm. I was a little confused at this point because that's not true. I work in the maintenance department at a children's hospital, and I'm a building maintenance tech. I went to trade school for building maintenance right after high school, and what I told my girlfriend was that I always wanted to pursue my bachelor's, but only after I've had time to save toward it. I do not want to take out loans. I told him, actually, I'm a building maintenance tech at XYZ hospital, but I'm considering my employer's tuition reimbursement program because I want to apply to mechanical engineering programs this year. It got really awkward, and her uncle was nice about it. Her uncle and her dad started asking me questions about what work was like in a hospital setting for non-clinical personnel at this time, and the conversation went in that direction. She chimed in when they asked her about school and her post-grad plans, but was pretty quiet. After the call, she called me on FaceTime and said that it was basically the same thing, and I said if it's basically the same thing, then why did you lie about it? She explained that her aunts could be classist, and that it would have been better if I had just gone along with it, because I made her look stupid in front of her family, and that her aunts probably think less of both me and her now. I told her that I like what I do. It keeps a roof over my head, and I've been fortunate to keep my job this entire time, all without having a college degree yet. After she repeated that she felt stupid, I said I would talk to her later because I felt like the conversation was not going anywhere. But now I really feel like I did the wrong thing and made things complicated for her with her family. Am I the a-hole for not going along with her lying about my job to help her save face? Edit, I've been with her for 6 months. Not a-hole. You were honest and managed a perfectly pleasant conversation with her family. Her fudging the truth is on her. If she was going to do that, she could have broached the subject with you to see if that was something you'd agree to doing for her. I have to wonder, is the aunt really classist or is she? I agree with most of what you said, except she didn't fudge. She lied outright. And she lied because, well, she's embarrassed to be with Opie. I'm sorry, Opie, but that classist aunt's excuse is BS. Not in the fact that the aunts may or may not be classist snobs, but that if they are, it's strictly a them problem, not an Opie problem. There's no reason why she wouldn't share your occupation. You are a skilled technician, and since you don't share her apparently rarefied birth circumstances, you are rightly worried about life-crushing college debt, the #1 ruiner of future behind medical debt. It's plain and simple to see. She thinks you, 1, have to be defended, which she should have your back already. But more importantly, 2, you can't be defended, so it's better to lie about you. I, 22 male, was invited to my girlfriend's 21 female extended family's Zoom call where everyone eats dinner together and then plays games. And then one of her aunts said to me, "I've heard a lot of good things about you. I'm told that you're an engineer." Aunt set you up after girlfriend lied about your status. Professional courtesy denied. Her aunts could be classist and that it would have been better if I had just gone along with it because I made her look stupid. Girlfriend looks stupid. She lied. Opie looks honest and hardworking and may become an engineer. This is all in girlfriend. Stop lying, girlfriend. Not Dayhall. Lying is almost always the wrong way to go. And you sound like a catch. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for refusing to bake a cake for my sister and brother-in-law? I'm a guy and baking has always been my passion. It's something me and my mom used to do a lot growing up before she passed. My sister wasn't as into it as I was, and she liked it even less after mom passed away, but I continued learning. I'm not a professional, but I work part-time at a pastry shop while I finish college. It's something I'm teased about by my family sometimes, but I ignore them. My sister started dating her husband a few years back, and he joined the teasing too. I don't like him in general because he's kind of a prick, and likes to make fun of me even more than my family. They are married now and have my niece who's 5. For the last couple years, my sister has asked me to bake birthday cakes for my niece, which I don't mind doing because I love my niece. And she's a fair critic when it comes to judging how good my cakes are, lol. They're gonna be celebrating their wedding anniversary soon, and she asked me if I can bake a special cake for them. But I told her no, because they both still make fun of me just because I enjoy baking. My niece is a different story because she's a kid, and this doesn't involve her. But I have more respect for myself than to make a cake for 2 people who like to tease me about doing something as girly and emasculating as baking in the kitchen. Something I told her even she sucks at. So they're both giving me crap over that because they really want to make this a special anniversary. My niece tight because of their financial troubles, and they wanted this one day to be perfect. My dad says I'm being too petty over this, and it's going to ruin the day for my sister and brother-in-law after the year they've had. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Doesn't matter that they are family. You have a right to decide what you do and don't want to do. Plain and simple. They shouldn't be rude to someone they ask favors from. Why are they always family when they need something, but not when you do? Simple answer? They're a-holes. Not the a-hole. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Perfect time for this saying. I hate that I didn't even realize that until now. Lol, it's too close to home. Good for you respecting yourself and respecting your skills. If one of the cakes they've been speaking down to you about ruins their special days, that says so much more about them, and about your father, than about you. Not the a-hole. Ha ha ha, baking is such a girly and stupid thing, a waste of time and we treat you bad. But please use those skills that you worked years on to make us something special on our special day without us paying you. You are not the a-hole here. They are. Your reaction is absolutely right. I love that, after everything, you have been following this passion. This is the best summary of this post. Opie, I wish you could make this your title. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for banning my brother from my house after I lost my dog? My brother was staying in the back house of my place because he was having a fight with his girlfriend and isn't staying in their apartment. My dog is outside during most of the day, and I told him a million times to close the damn gates when he comes to the house. Last Thursday, my brother went to his friend's house and got home at like 6 a.m. I was already gone for work and left my dog out in the yard. When I got home, the gate was wide open and my dog Maddie was nowhere to be found. It was so obvious it was my brother because I always remember to close the gate after I pull my car out. He denied it until I checked the front camera, which clearly showed him coming in from the front and not bothering to close right behind him. I was so mad at my brother I told him to leave because I don't want him in my house anymore, and I went out to look for my dog. Got called up by my parents later on since he had to go to their place, and they yelled at me for not being a good brother, letting him not have a place to stay over my dog. They already know he messed up by ignoring the one thing I kept telling him to, but that's no excuse to ban him from my house. I don't know. I'm just mad he didn't listen to me and now my dog is gone. So far can't find him at any of the shelters. I'm losing hope and it makes me even more mad at my brother that I don't want to see him right now. But they keep saying that's too extreme and shouldn't hold it against him when he's needing some support right now. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You have every right to say who is and isn't allowed to stay at your house. Should have apologized and tried to help you find your dog as well. Brother or not, if they caused the loss of my dog is dead to me. Yep, there's no remorse or regret, no mention of an apology, and the brother hasn't even helped look for the dog. Not only did the brother mess up, he isn't doing a thing to help find a dog. Just went running to mommy and daddy because big bro was being mean. You are definitely not the a-hole. Your brother, on the other hand, is a massive a-hole. All you requested from him was to close a gate when he enters your property, which is reasonable. He couldn't do so, and you lost a family member as a result. If your parents want to berate you so badly, they should just let him stay with them. Maybe he will leave a door open and a burglar would get inside. If I were OP, every instance in the future I would leave everything wide open at the parents' house and see how quickly the parents' stance changes. Not the a-hole. It's like that meme, you had one job. Eddie messed up. Ed is not homeless, staying at your parents' home. In my opinion, let him stay there and mess things up over there. As for your parents supporting him emotionally, they should do that for you too. That they aren't is inconsiderate of them towards you. Going with not the a-hole. If it was literally the only thing you ask, you should have kept track of it. Sounds like you told him enough. Honestly, the lying about it would upset me more. Just be honest. Help me find a dog and we can get around it. But the lying is just so bad. I have to trust someone I have in my home. If I don't, they don't stay. Mistakes happen. Lies, though, those are conscious decisions. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not quitting my job so my nephew can go to a special needs school? I am a special needs teacher in the Netherlands. I teach students ages 12 and up. My nephew is highly intelligent, but he has autism. He cannot relate to other students, and even though he is really intelligent, he has the mental age of someone that is 7, even though his physical age is 12, so regular schools wouldn't be an option. A few years ago, I got a job as a special needs teacher specialized in autism. I love the school I work at, have amazing coworkers, and I find the students to be very interesting in a positive way. This truly is my dream job, and unless something changes negatively, I could see myself working here until I retire. My sister-in-law and I don't get along. She hates the fact I can get along better with nephew than she can. To be honest, it is very hard to turn off the way I speak to people with autism, as it is what I do for 5 days a week. So I can't realistically turn it off when speaking to nephew. Due to this, he responds better to me than his mother. I have offered my sister-in-law some pointers on how to understand him better, but every time I did this, I got the same old excuse of, I'm his mother, I know better, you don't even have kids, so you don't know what you are talking about. In the Netherlands, there aren't many special needs high schools that focus primarily on HAVO and VWO. This is where I get the most enjoyment out of. In our immediate area, there is only one. The next closest one would be an hour commute every day. My nephew's getting to that age where he has to go to high school. He can do VWO, and this would also be realistic for him to pass. However, due to a rule in my school, teachers cannot have family members attending the school. He cannot go to my school. The next one over would be an hour commute for him by taxi. If he's lucky enough to get a taxi to himself, they are often shared. In the Netherlands, an hour commute by car is really uncommon. My sister-in-law came to me to ask if I could put in a good word for nephew, as there is more demand for special needs schools than there are special needs schools. I then told her I cannot do that and nephew couldn't go to my school, as that would mean I would have to quit because of the rule. My sister-in-law threw a fit, told me I don't want nephew to succeed, and that if she was in my shoes, she would have quit. I told her that this is my dream job, and no amount of begging would change my mind. But if she wanted to, I could probably put in a good word for nephew at the other school, as many special needs schools in the Netherlands have frequent contact. After this phone call, my sister-in-law called my wife, told her that I don't want nephew to succeed, and that she should consider a divorce. So, am I the a-hole here? I know family should help each other, but I never thought this would mean giving up something I truly love to do. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are willing to support with tips and guidance, and even a reference to another school, but to ask you to quit is too far. There's a saying, you don't need to light yourself on fire to keep others warm. That applies here. Also, calling his wife telling her to divorce OP is juvenile. Personally, if I had a kid with special needs and someone I was related to could talk to my kid, I would be ecstatic for my kid. The fact that the sister-in-law is upset that he can talk to your kid is sad, because she isn't thinking about what's best for her kid. I'm a speech therapist and I have had relatives ask about their child, and when I pointed out some areas of concern, was outright dismissed after they ask. Unfortunately, I don't think the sister-in-law's behavior is that uncommon. It is inappropriate, but not that uncommon in my experience. When I first noticed some things wrong with my nephew, I was also dismissed right away. People rarely listen to family because they don't want to believe something is wrong with their kids. Not the a-hole. You shouldn't be made to feel bad about not quitting your dream job. That does seem like a weird rule though. Do you know why that rule came about? Yeah, a couple of years ago before I even got there was a teacher who had her stepson in her class. She only paid attention to him, tried to make other students with special needs to solely work around his needs. Other parents complained, and the kid was transferred to another school. The teacher quit a week later. It was a whole drama, I'm told. Sounds like what they should have done was move the stepson into another classroom and under a different teacher. The school is too small. A special needs school only has 11 students in a class, and more often than not, only has around 100 to 130 students. This means that he would still be taught by her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling out my sister's partner? Background. I, 24 male, have two stepsisters, 28 female/32 female, who I'm very close to. We were raised together, and although we don't share the same parentage, we have always seen each other as siblings, to the point where we all dislike the term step-sibling, as we think it devalues our relationships. My eldest sister, Faith, has a partner who is considerably older than her. I believe he is in his early 40s, not sure exactly. This is not uncommon in our family. And whilst I find it a bit strange, as long as she's happy, that's all I really care about. Now, my family is huge and very close. Christmas/Easter/other family events will regularly have a head count of 30 plus. These events are always very loud, very busy, and could easily seem quite intimidating if you're not used to that kind of environment. My partner has told me she felt very anxious about these events at first, but has since settled and loves the atmosphere. My sister's partner, we will call him Jake, has spent the past 4 years of their relationship actively avoiding these family events. He is the only child from a very small family who aren't particularly close, and he uses this as his reasoning for declining every single invitation extended to him. Nobody's particularly bothered by this, and nobody has gone out of their way to encourage him to join us. He declines, and we accept this without question. Recently, I was visiting Jake and Faith about an hour or so away. After a few drinks, Jake starts talking about how he feels that nobody in the family likes him, and it's sad that nobody makes an effort to come and see him and Faith. This is a common discussion he likes to bring up when we've been drinking for some reason, and not the first time I have had to have this conversation. I tried to avoid the subject, as in my opinion, he's had every invitation extended to him, so he's made it quite clear that he doesn't like to interact with us unless absolutely necessary. This goes on for about an hour or so before he says, "It's like your family don't even care about Faith, my sister." This is where I snapped and essentially told him to grow the hell up. I said that if people wants to make an effort with him, he needs to grow some confidence and turn up to a few family events, and then people will start treating him as a member of the family. He said he can't go to these events because he has anxiety, to which I told him that's a poor excuse for being too lazy to make the effort. My sister has since told me that I was out of line, and that I shouldn't have said anything. I agree that calling him lazy was perhaps too far. I also suffer from anxiety that would have crushed me, but I'm not having someone tell me my family don't care about my sister. As far as I'm concerned, he has made no effort to integrate into the family, yet expects us to bend over backwards to make him feel welcome. Everyone sucks here. Yeah, he was a whiny brat. I'm from a similar type of family as you, and we have huge events, and we frequently joke about how new people need flashcards and how overwhelming our family parties can be. It does take a genuine effort to pull new people in and make them comfortable. The fact that no one in your family has tried to do that part is kind of a-holy. You took it way too far in your conversation with him though, and while it sounds like you've realized you were in the wrong, it doesn't sound like you've apologized. My family have tried to bring him in closer. Perhaps I should have explained further. It's not like we expect him to just turn up and be fine with everything straight away. Much like your family, we are also aware that it can be intimidating. Over the course of 4 years, he has been invited to every family event, but has been to none. What else can we do? If he says he doesn't want to come, we aren't about to turn up at his house and drag him along. Do you guys ever have smaller events? Had your sister invited a few of you over theirs to smaller events? There are some people who could never ever handle the kind of event you're talking about due to anxiety. It's not about trying or being lazy. It's not going to happen. I have no problem with him not attending the family event. I make the effort to come and visit, and have done multiple times. Nobody mentions the family events except for him. The only one making any complaints is him. I can't be held responsible for the fact that other family members don't come to visit them. I'm just sick of being the guy that has to sit there and listen to all of his issues, when I'm the one who makes the effort all the time. Everyone sucks here. This may be a controversial view, but you both didn't behave well. If the point that made you so angry was that he said your family don't care about your sister, then you should have reacted on that comment. Explain that that's not the case, not attacking him at his actions. He, on the other hand, shouldn't whine about being left out when he's the one avoiding the family. If his anxiety is that severe, he could invite some people, smaller groups, that makes him feel more comfortable. I understand why you reacted like that. But telling him he's lazy and should grow balls when he's anxiety, again if it's really that severe, wasn't the right way to go. To clarify on the anxiety point, his issues with big groups seem to only crop up where my family is concerned. He and I are both big music fans, and he has no problem going to festivals in groups of 20-somethings, shoulder to shoulder in a concert crowd of 20,000. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my niece's operation with my wedding fund? I, female 30, have an older brother, Thomas, 43. His first wife passed, leaving him with my niece, and he remarried 2 years later. My dad and uncle inherited 2 lands from my grandfather. Dad left his land after it was split for me and Thomas, but Thomas sold it without my knowledge and kept all the money for himself. I couldn't do anything about it because I barely had money for college, and because sister-in-law said if I tried to do anything about it, I'd never see my niece. But I went no contact and couldn't establish a relationship with my niece anyway, even though I used to take care of her when she was little. She's now 16, born with a health condition, and had her first operation at the age of 1. I later inherited the other land my uncle had after he disowned Thomas. I sold it and spent money on necessities, and used the rest to fund my wedding soon. Thomas reached out recently and we spoke a few times. He kept mentioning my niece struggling with her health condition again. He asked if I wanted to meet her, but I wanted time. After a few more conversations, he said he needs help paying for her upcoming surgery, and asked if I could help with money. He brought up uncle's land and the money I put aside for my wedding. I was shocked. He asked where he knew all that. and he said he's been talking to a mutual friend and he told him everything. This mutual friend said Thomas spent the money from the land on several expensive golfing trips and anniversary celebrations with his wife, and is now in debt struggling to pay for my niece's medical expenses. I said sorry, but there was nothing I can do to help. He kept trying to convince me that my wedding can wait and my niece should matter to me, reminding me that I'm the only family he got left, and I should consider helping him for my niece's sake, not his. I reminded him of what he did to me years ago and how it left me to struggle for myself. I said he was lucky I didn't sue him for the money he owed me, but he said that this was his wife's idea, and he was stupid and regretted listening to her. Then said I could still sue them, but since they'll go to jail because they can't pay me back, then my niece becomes my responsibility. He said I could hate him all I want, but he's just asking for my niece. He pressured me to go see her, but I felt highly uncomfortable doing that. We had a heated argument after he tried to get my fiancé to postpone the wedding. I ended up telling him to leave, but he said it was okay, we'll talk again. But I said all I had to say. He had to let my friends know. They asked what's wrong with me prioritizing wedding over my niece. Thomas then emailed me saying I can't blame him for trying to help his kid, and that he knew I'm a better person than he is, and I will do this out of goodness of my heart. He said he'd pay me back with his wife's inheritance once their father passes, which he doesn't know when, but he hoped soon enough. I'm still dumbfounded by what he said. Thing is, I've always wanted a good wedding, and because I got stuck with student loans for so long, I still live in a small place. Still haven't gone on trips I wanted, still haven't achieved most of what I wanted. I'm 30 and feel like life already passed me by. If I let Thomas get my wedding fund, then I'll have to start saving for my wedding. Now for the top comments. Not day hall. Anyone who's harassing you about this is not your friend. It may be that he has given them a twisted version of his narrative and you can clear that up. But if they continue to harass you about delaying your wedding and giving your money to your brother for his child, then they are definitely not your friends. OP, listen to the above. Also, if you do change your mind about helping financially with your niece's surgery, ask for a copy of the bill and pay the hospital or treatment facility directly. Do not give your brother money, as he's untrustworthy. Also, make sure you get your brother and his wife to sign notarized statements stating that they owe you that money back, with interest, or you will never see it again. Funny the brother hasn't mentioned the money as a loan anywhere, except the father-in-law comment. He and his wife, fully expect the money as a righteous gift. The money stole from Opie should have been put aside for the medical needs they knew were coming. Not day hall. Not day hall. He said that this was his wife's idea, and he was stupid and regretted listening to her. If him stealing your money was all his wife's idea and has regretted it since, why didn't he give you a call prior to being in debt and his daughter needing a surgery? Someone who is truly guilted would have got in contact sooner just to apologize. Don't give him the money believing that he's going to let you see your niece or have any sort of family dynamic with him. As soon as he'd have the money, he'd disappear again. Don't put yourself through such emotional and financial turmoil. If you have rented the food, venue, cake, etc., have passwords with the vendors in case he even tries to call them saying that the wedding has been postponed/cancelled. He's crossing lines by talking to your circle. OP, just say the money he stole from you is the money you already gave him. Not day hall. He sold his land and squandered the money carelessly, knowing his daughter has a health condition that would require further medical treatment. You were cut off from seeing your niece for all these years, and now she's basically a stranger to you that just happens to share some DNA. If you had been part of her life all along, it would be different. As it stands, he was irresponsible in planning to care for his daughter's medical issues, and now he's manipulating you into giving up part of your inheritance and delay your wedding to cover for his failure. You're definitely not a day-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my sick brother's chemo treatment after receiving a large inheritance from my grandfather? I am a 26-year-old woman. When my grandfather passed away, he wrote in his will that his inheritance would be divided amongst his wife and his oldest grandchild, me. He believed my brother would be way too young at the time of his death to inherit any money. He was a very wealthy man, but no money went to my parents, because frankly they did not have the best relationship with him, especially my mom, who is his daughter. Not that they needed it anyways. My parents have plenty of money already. I spent a lot of time with my grandpa, and we got along well. I'd say he even parented me better than my parents ever could, and I was devastated when he died. When I got my share of the inheritance, I expected a lot of family who never talked to me before to suddenly start asking for favors. And they did. Especially my parents for some reason. The final straw came when my mother asked me if I could pay for my brother's, his 15, chemo treatments, considering that I was technically rich now. I had never had a large amount of money, even with having wealthy parents. And as soon as I turned 18, they kicked me out and decided I needed to live on my own. My father gave me $1,700, and that was it, and they hardly talked to me. In fact, you could say they are the reason my grandfather gave me this money in the first place. He would always bring up how I seemed to be struggling. Finally, I thought of this, turned to my mother and basically said that my brother was not my responsibility, and that they have plenty of money to pay for his chemo treatments. Because now that I'm basically set for life, I would like to spend my money getting myself together and preparing for my own children. I told them I still loved him, but I just couldn't take on the responsibility for a child that I didn't even birth. Heck, I spent most of my childhood raising him when they didn't want to, and I was done being responsible for him. Of course, this didn't go over well with her, and she started yelling and cursing me out over the phone. I hung up, not wanting to hear another word of it. Over several days, I kept getting messages and calls, even Facebook posts of other family members calling me ungrateful, evil, and spoiled. Truthfully though, I knew in my heart that this was probably the best decision I could make for myself. I finally have the chance to be selfish. I didn't want to be used by my parents anymore. My brother will be fine as they have the money to do it themselves. They just want to once again throw that responsibility on me. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This isn't even about affordability. As you mentioned, they can afford a treatment. They're just cheap and entitled and don't want to pay for it themselves. This isn't your issue. For anyone coming at you, remind them that your parents can more than afford a treatment. It's not your kid. Then cut ties as they have proven they aren't worth your time. Probably as they're part in the inheritance. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. A lot of these commenters must have missed the part that said my parents have plenty of money already. Some people's children. Shaking my damn head. Exactly this. And even if they don't, then it is still unfair to expect Opie to pay. Not the a-hole. When your grandfather passed away, his inheritance became yours. It doesn't matter one bit whether you inherited it, earned it, or won it in a lottery. It is your money, and you're not responsible for your brother's treatment. Your parents sound like massive a-holes for trying to bully you into it, especially as they can afford it themselves. You've done nothing wrong here. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for leaving my sister and her kids at the mall? I, 23 female, moved out of my parents' house 2 years ago because my sister, 32, and her husband, 33, have made a house uninhabitable if you aren't catering to his kids. They're loud, throw tantrums at a drop of a hat, and are very needy. I've asked to not be involved with their kids, as I have severe trauma and issues with spending long periods of time with especially small children that need to rely on adults for most things. My sister used to get on my back for not accepting her stepkids, when in reality I don't accept most children, as they cause panic attacks and worse when left in my care or presence. Recently, I've been trying to rekindle our relationship with obvious baby steps. I invited my sister out to the mall and asked that it just be us. She agreed, and we met up this Saturday. However, she brought her stepdaughter Cassandra, 7, and her stepson Caleb, 10. I tried to grin and bear it, but things got to a pretty unacceptable level for me pretty quickly. My sister kept picking up items, and then leaving me at the register with her kids to pay, with my card. Or she sent her kids up to me and telling them to ask Auntie to buy these for you. And I didn't want to look like an A, so I'd buy the items. She then left me alone with the kids at the food court while she stopped, but she told me she'd be right back. Ended up spending 45 minutes shopping around. When we finally met back up, I was fed up and told her I was leaving. She asked me to let her take the kids home so we could shop and hang out, but I was already over it. My mother and father are calling me an a-hole for leaving her alone with the kids, and her husband is calling me a hateful witch for not accepting his kids and not stepping up as their only aunt. He doesn't talk to his sisters, and I'm my sister's only sibling. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I do not mistreat these kids or ignore them. I send birthday/Christmas presents and birthday cards as often as my wallet allows. They know I exist, and I plan to handle my trauma, again baby steps, at a pace that's appropriate for me and be more involved eventually. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister wasn't there to spend time with you. She was there to take advantage of you. At least now Opie can move on from this relationship knowing she tried. Not the a-hole. She didn't want to spend time with you. She wanted someone to pay for stuffs. I would go low contact on the whole family, to be honest. He doesn't talk to his sisters, and I'm my sister's only sibling. Join the rest of the family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my fiancé to get a house of her own? So me 27 male and my fiancé 27 female are getting married in a year or two. We aren't in a rush. We've been talking about finances and stuff like that. And we've been having some honest conversations about the future, specifically what we do in case of a divorce. The main sticking point is the house. In the event of a divorce and she wants half the house, which I think is unreasonable given that I paid a mortgage. It's now paid off, and it's my name on the title deed. But I understand where she's coming from. If we broke up 10 years from now, then she'd have no major assets to speak of, which would be bad for her. I get that. So I suggested a solution. As we both make good money, and right now she can easily afford a down payment on a house of her own. She has good credit, and so it's going to be easy for her to get a mortgage with favorable terms. If the terms of the contract are good, she might be able to rent out the house as she pays off the mortgage, and pay the mortgage with rent money. This, in my eyes, is a win-win scenario. If we stay together, she gets an asset that she can sell or do whatever she wants with. And if we break up, she has a house. But she's having none of it, and tells me that I can't tell her how to spend her money. I mean, fair enough. So I asked her to sign a prenup, which basically said that in the event of a divorce, the house would be mine and all other assets of any would be split equitably. She's refusing to sign that as well, saying that I should just trust her. I do, but having a backup plan would make me feel much better and calm my nerves. I said that I'm not going to put myself in a situation where there's even a remote chance that I might lose the house that I've worked hard for. It's one of my red lines. So am I the a-hole? Also, we live together right now, and we split everything 50-50 including housework. We cook for each other on alternate days and we eat out for one day. Not the a-hole. She didn't put a dime into the house. Why should she expect to get half of it if you split up? Marriage law is weird. She wouldn't get half the house, but she would be entitled to half of the appreciation of the house. So if the house is worth $100,000 when we get married and if it's worth $600 when we split up, then I'd be on the hook for $250,000, which I might not have in cash. So I might have to sell the house to pay the $250,000. All that depends on how much the house appreciates. If you are already planning a divorce, then do not get married without a prenup. That would be a terrible financial decision. No one plans to get a divorce when they marry, just like no one plans to have a house fire or for a tornado to rip the roof off the house. Yet sometimes it happens, and if it does happen, it's dumb not to make sure that your assets are protected. Info. What would you do with the house? Why not let her buy half of your house or you win this equally? Or sell it and buy one together? If you're going to retain sole ownership, then she shouldn't pay anything for maintenance/renovation/upkeep. Is this your plan? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay back my parents for sending me to a private school when I was 12/13? So, my 17 female parents used to be very strict growing up. When I first started secondary school, I used to be a rebellious child, which is something I have always admitted and apologized for. It is also a phase I have grown out of a pretty long time. Because of my actions, my parents decided it would be a good idea to send me to a strict private school which they think improved my behavior, but in all honesty, I think I've just grown up. My dad first brought this up a few years ago when I was 15, that I need to pay back $20,000 for the school fees. And at first, I genuinely thought he was joking, but now he's bringing it up again and again, especially now that I'm earning my own money. I would maybe understand them if I was still misbehaving, but I literally get straight A's and A+. Haven't had a detention in forever and never answer them back. I don't understand why my parents are asking me to pay this money when they're the ones that sent me there in the first place. I can't believe I'm already in debt by my own parents, and I haven't even started college yet. Would love some input if I'm overreacting and how I should approach them when they bring it up again. Not today, home. My flip response is laughing in their face about expecting to be paid back, as a way to approach them bringing it up again. I guess reality would be no. I feel you made a choice to do that and I was a child then. You weren't in debt to them. Tell them to take it small claims. Not really. I hope he doesn't owe this money. Also, they sent her for being rebellious, which was probably normal behavior. Not an a-hole. And don't even think about paying anything. That was their choice. Until you were legally adult, they are responsible to feed and clothe you, provide safe roof over your head, and education. Not today, Hall. Your parents were the ones who chose to send you to the school. You didn't really have a choice. And while you were a rebellious child, but so were a lot of children. Talk to them and explain that since it was their idea to send you to the school, then it is on them to pay for it. As paying for things that they believe would better their child is, in a way, their jobs as parents.